What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic, and we talked a few months ago about a rumor that Universal Orlando was looking to create a tunnel or at least some sort of transportation method between Epic Universe and the existing Universal campus that includes City Walk. And at the time, it was mostly just rumors from people on the ground, local businesses that had said that the Boring Company, which is owned by Elon Musk, had been in the area and was even looking at real estate. And once that rumor was out there, there wasn't really a whole lot else that really came up about it until now, where it does seem like that this is something that Universal is looking to do to create a transportation method between Epic Universe and the existing Universal Orlando main campus. So in this video, we're going to go through where does this all stand, what is the proposal, and would it potentially even be a tunnel that they would use for this type of system? So we're going to go through all this, talk about it, give some thoughts on it. So to get you caught up on what this is all about, so this article here is from Travel Weekly, and this was back in August, and it said, "A tunnel to Epic Universe. Do you dig it?" It says, last month, rumors began to swirl that Universal Orlando Resort was in early talks with Elon Musk's Boring Company to create an underground network of transport tunnels along International Drive. It would connect Universal Orlando properties, its original campus, and the new campus housing Epic Universe, cutting down on iDrive traffic and offering Universal guests a quicker way to get around. Any way you can avoid iDrive, I'm all for. If you've never driven that, that is one of the most congested, worst ways to get around anywhere is to be on iDrive. So if anything that they can help you avoid iDrive, I'm personally all for it. While neither party has confirmed anything, the tunnel system would reportedly be similar to the Las Vegas Convention Center loop. Teslas would transport passengers to various stops along the network. Universal already has measures in place to help with traffic flow to and from Epic Universe with its massive elevated loop outside the park that includes dedicated bus lanes. But any additional time-saving innovations could mean a world of difference to park guests who want to cram as much as possible into a day. So that was essentially the gist of that rumor. And like I said, hadn't heard anything else about this since this kind of popped up during the summer, but there's a news story from WFTV Channel 9 in Orlando that came out on the 12th that actually talks about this and kind of has a little bit more details here. And there's some developments in terms of actual proposals taking place from companies proposing to build this new system.
Could Central Florida be the next to go underground? Universal's new transit plans spark talk of an Elon Musk-style tunnel system.
Non-Investigates has obtained documents showing where a transit system could go and what that means for visitors in the tourist district. Non-Investigates Shannon Butler was at that meeting today where it was supposed to be discussed. Shannon.
Yeah, Martha, this is the bid form being used for that transportation project. We were in the room with the people in charge of looking at the proposals. They won't let us see them just yet, but you can see this, maps of where the possible transit system would go, and these little dots right here would be all the stops. And now documents show Universal may be trying to expand its horizon even more, this time with a transit system. This request for qualifications shows where Universal would like to have stops on its 4 to 5 mile route. The first phase includes stops at Epic and its hotels. A second phase would mean you could get to Universal Studios, City Walk, and along iDrive. Phase 3 would be near the Hard Rock Hotel and some retail shops. The documents are a roadmap for companies who want to bid for the project. We know there are at least 2 proposals. We were there today when the Shingle Creek Transit and Utility Community Development District met this afternoon. That board oversees the special district created around Universal Studios. At the meeting, the agenda said the board was set to discuss those proposals and the companies behind it, but it didn't, ending the meeting just 5 minutes after it started. It's been rumored for months that Universal may partner with Elon Musk's Boring Company to go underground like his project here in Las Vegas called the Las Vegas Loop. That system unveiled in 2021 and transports Teslas between places within the Las Vegas Convention Center campus. But today signed in at the meeting not only a Universal rep, but Beep and Glideways, both autonomous vehicle companies, indicating that above ground options could also be presented to the board.
Tunnel in Central Florida. You got that high water table, issues with flooding. It sounds crazy.
Well, I'm not an engineer, but it was the #1 question today when we were talking about this in the newsroom. What about these? If it's going to be underground, like Elon Musk project in Las Vegas, could they actually do that? It's swampland. We have high water tables, the flooding. Well, they say they can do it.
So they didn't have any potential pricing that Universal could be looking at with this type of transportation method or whichever way they go. But I did a little bit of research here and had ChatGPT crunch some numbers going over 4 different options, which would be a monorail system, which has been rumored that they would be looking at a monorail system, which I don't believe that is really feasible. I don't think they would go that route due to the expense and just how complicated that would be to get built. A light rail system or a train system, a tunnel system like they've talked about, and then a dedicated autonomous vehicle roadway, because what was interesting at the end of that clip is Beep and these autonomous buses, essentially they have someone in there, but those things basically drive themselves, which is an interesting option because I would imagine it's much more cost effective. And also Disney World actually threw out this idea years ago of having dedicated lanes for autonomous vehicles that would transport people around property, which you could definitely see them doing. And I think both Universal and Disney would likely implement something like that in the future potentially. But I don't know if that would be an iconic transportation method, because I think one thing Universal does want is something like Disney World's monorail system. They want something that's iconic or memorable for them to connect the various locations that they currently have. So we're going to look at the options here. So the monorail system, the estimated cost would be $100 to $150 million per mile. So the cost for 2 to 3 miles, which is what you would be needing to connect the 2 areas of Universal Studios, would be $200 to $450 million. And it says here, a monorail provides a high-capacity premium guest experience. Strong branding value, but comes at a very high cost. Costs spike due to elevated concrete guideways, custom stations, and engineering challenges in a busy resort area. It's visually impressive, but not cost-efficient for such a short link. And not to mention, there's lots of issues I could see popping up with where you would need to put monorail tracks and then having the ability to put them there. You'd have to get agreements from different properties to do so, which is likely why they have been talking about this tunnel, because I don't believe you'd have to do that if you go underground versus overground. But obviously, monorail system would be iconic. It also would be copying Disney, and it'd also be very expensive. So I don't really think that a monorail system is very much in play. Then you have a light rail / train system. This estimated cost is $100 to $200 million per mile. So just about, if not even more expensive than a monorail system. And you'd be looking at $200 to $500 million to do this system. It says a light rail line offers the highest capacity and could theoretically integrate with future regional transit, but Orlando has no existing light rail network near Universal, though they will, I believe, with that new Light Bright one that they're doing. I do believe that one's coming from the airport, so they will have one in the future, I do believe. This would be a costly standalone project with limited payoff for such a short point-to-point shuttle. Construction could disrupt roads unless elevated. So same issue you'd probably run into with a monorail and its expense. I'd be kind of surprised they went a light rail system. Now, the tunnel system, and this is kind of interesting. Again, I don't know how you do tunnels in Florida, but obviously they have said, like they said in the news clip there, that they believe they can do that. So I don't think that that's an issue that's holding them back on this. But the estimated cost on this is $20 to $30 million per mile. And for 2 to 3 miles, you'd be looking at $50 to $100 million. Much cheaper than the other options. And it would definitely be potentially iconic, given it's a very unique way to travel between destinations. It says a small diameter tunnel for autonomous vehicles like the Las Vegas Loop offer a cheap alternative to traditional tunneling. Costs are dramatically lower than rail. Surface disruption is minimal, and stations can be discreet. However, Florida's high water table adds geological risk, and vehicle-based capacity is lower than rail options. It's innovative, but still new and unproven on this scale. And then you have dedicated autonomous vehicle roadways, which we're talking about with the basically driverless cars or just self-driving cars that you could use here. The cost would be $5 to $25 million per mile. So the total cost there would be about $10 to $75 million. So this is the simplest, cheapest, and most practical solution. Universal is already building dedicated shuttle lanes on the Kirkman Road extension, which they already have installed. It uses standard infrastructure, allows electric or autonomous vehicles, scales easily, and integrates seamlessly into existing road networks. Low construction complexity and minimal risk make it ideal for a 2 to 3 mile shuttle. So I think those aren't going to be your exact cost, but I think those are some decent costs when you look at this. I think, honestly, if you look at the tunneling method, which, again, they're definitely throwing that out there, and the fact you had Beep and these autonomous vehicles at that meeting also, you could have a tunnel system that works different than what's out in Vegas that also includes autonomous vehicles that just use that tunnel, and that is your transportation method. You could kind of have buses, like you could make it big enough where you could have buses that would fit in there, and that could be your iconic travel network. So personally speaking, I think looking at this, I would assume they would go this tunnel system or dedicated lanes for autonomous vehicles. But I think if you're wanting to go, or if they're looking for a very brandable or very unique type of way to get guests around property, I think the tunnel system is very intriguing because that would be a novelty in of itself that people would want to go check out if they're going between Epic Universe and the main campus, and you get to go under a tunnel. Maybe they even do like on Hogwarts Express and have like stuff playing on the windows. I mean, you could definitely do it that way where it's almost like you're not really in a tunnel. You're taking some sort of, whimsical transportation method to some other place. So there's some options here that they could use this where the guest would never really be, visually knowing that you're just traveling in a tunnel. It could seem like you're doing something else with screens in there. So I think that could be pretty cool. But I think undoubtedly when you're looking at this, it definitely doesn't seem like Universal is playing around. They are going full pedal to the metal on expanding Universal. And not only hearing this and this seemingly being a very serious thing that they are looking at, the fact of what I'm hearing from Universal people internally that are telling me is there's way more stuff they're about to announce, not only at Epic Universe. And again, just remember, the other day, they mentioned expansions to Epic Universe that were coming, not just a singular expansion off of that recent permit that people found. So multiple things coming to Epic Universe, multiple things coming to the existing parks beyond what has already been announced, and now looking at a unique transportation method between the main campus of Universal and Epic Universe. I mean, Universal is just full bore going all out for it, using the momentum they have and looking to create Universal Orlando into a complete week-long destination that really does rival Disney World, and really looking to expand the theme park. Because yet again, Comcast is definitely in the need to do this, considering their linear and broadband networks are depreciating very quickly. So they want to make a pivot as quickly as they can to make the theme parks very profitable. And so you're going to see them invest a lot more into the theme parks, and that, who even knows, maybe they end up with Warner Brothers, but they're going to be very aggressive trying to make Universal Orlando even more of a destination, a week-long destination, trying to connect the areas of their parks just like Disney does with their monorail and transportation systems. Universal's looking to do the same thing. They have different challenges with that than Disney does. They don't own all that land between the main campus and Epic Universe, but if you do an underground tunnel, that is one way to go about that. That would not impede on existing traffic, wouldn't have to deal with a lot of construction on the top end of things. You wouldn't have to close down roadways, but be able to have your own sort of transportation method that would be very unique to Universal. So it seems like this is definitely something that they are going to at least take bids on and look at, and I think very likely could start on this in the coming years to really have their own transportation system. So I still have questions about how would a tunnel work, but if they feel like it could work, I'm not going to sit here and doubt them because I don't know. But I think if you're looking at the probabilities here, it'd be some sort of tunnel system that might have autonomous, cars or vehicles that would drive you back and forth, or some sort of dedicated lane on an upper roadway that would do the same thing. So as it stands now with what we do know, which is not a whole lot, I feel like those are your two best options that make the most economical sense. Listen, I love the idea of it. I think it would be really cool if Universal could have their own sort of monorail-like system that's very unique that people want to go check out. And again, it's just going to make Universal feel even more connected, even though Epic Universe is a bit away from, I would say a bit, it's 2 or 3 miles away from the main campus, but you have to go on some pretty busy roadways, even though they have made some road improvements. But something like this that would just allow you to just relax and go to and from without having to worry about traffic or riding a bus, just a different type of transportation method, I do think makes a lot of sense. I think it would be appealing to people that coming to Universal that want to check this out. And then as you add more things into Epic Universe's campus, which they're eventually going to do City Walk 2.0, there's rumors about more hotels, another theme park over there. So they're going to continue to expand not only the existing parks and now Epic Universe, but doing more things around Epic Universe. They have a lot more land they can use over there. And not to mention, you have the convention center right near Epic Universe. So this could be a way that people on the convention center could use it as well if they're going to and from Universal. So I think this makes a lot of sense why they would want to do this, have their own signature transportation method that would obviously have a lot of benefits for guests or just anybody going to Universal Orlando. We'll see whenever they start getting bids what this looks like, but it does seem like Universal is moving ahead with this and looking to create their own unique transportation system between the main Universal Studios campus and the Epic Universe campus to connect them in some way, either via a tunnel system, perhaps a train system, or just some sort of transportation method between the two different campus spots for Universal Orlando. So when we know more about this, we'll talk about it here and let you know about it. But for now, that is going to be it, though, for this video. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about all this? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.